Going to the Columbia Icefield. Maybe. That's what it says right here on my sweater. That's definitely not where we're going. We're going to the Athabasca Glacier, which is one of 6 glaciers coming off of our ice field. Now you guys are probably wondering, well, what's the difference between our ice field and a glacier? An ice field, it's like a lake of ice. It doesn't really move around too much. For the most part, pretty stationary. Whereas our glaciers, they're more similar to rivers of ice, always flowing and always moving in a particular direction. Now a good way to sort of see how the two interact with one another is to pretend that you have your hand out with your fingers spread apart like that, and imagine that I poured some water into your hand. Now some of that water would stay in the palm of your hand, and some of it would drift off and flow between your fingers. The water that's in your palm of the hand, that would be like our ice field, and the water running between your fingers would be like our glaciers. Your fingers themselves would be like the mountains that separate those glaciers. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah. Wonderful. Now does anyone know what our glaciers are made out of? Just shout it out, don't need to raise that. No, not quite. It starts with an I. Ice, yeah, very good. Our glaciers are made out of ice, and believe it or not, guys, the ice field, also made out of ice. Crazy, no way. But yes, this ice is very, very dense. Probably have a pretty bad time if you tried to make margaritas out of this ice. Because the ice out on our glacier, it's about 90% ice and only 10% air. Now for comparison, the ice cubes that you can make in your freezer at home, well, they're closer to about 50% ice, 50% air. So it's very, very dense ice. In fact, this dense ice where we're heading today, it's very thick as well. Where we're going to be getting off the bus to walk around, that ice underneath us is going to be around 150 to 200 meters deep. So very, very thick. That's about the same height as the Pyramid of Giza. And our ice field, well, it's not really too small either. It's about 165 square kilometers, or about 100 square miles if there's any Americans on board. That's the same size as metropolitan Vancouver, so it is a very, very big surface of ice. Now you might have driven past some of the glaciers that our ice field supplies. If you're coming in from Jasper today, you would have passed Stutfield, Castlegar, and the Dome Glacier. If you're coming in from Banff today, you would have passed Saskatchewan Glacier, which are all glaciers coming off of the ice field. So too is the one that we're heading to, the Athabasca Glacier. As we come around this corner, you get a pretty good look at it. Right at the top, we have the ice field, the Columbia Icefield. We then have 3 steps, or glacial steps, that connect the Columbia Icefield at the top to the Athabasca Glacier at the bottom. Now, as I said before, our glacier is always moving. Just like a river is always flowing, our glacier is always moving. And it can take a very long time for this ice to move. It takes around 15 years for the ice to travel down the 3 steps of our glacier, and then it takes an additional 200 years for that ice to travel from the toe to the tail of our glacier. By the time our tour today is